Hi, this is Ishan Shahane from Revsportz, and welcome to Beyond the Boundary. Once again, we have a fantastic guest. He is a Mumbai cricketing legend, a former Indian cricketer, a selector, and the founder of Khelo More, Mr. Jatin Paranjape. Thank you so much for joining, sir.
No, happy to be here, Ishan. Always happy to meet you.
Thank you so much. So, there's obviously you've covered a lot in your career, but we have to go straight to the beginning. That is cricket. So, my first question is why cricket and what got you gravitated towards playing the sport?
So I think technically my first sport, I used to go to Don Bosco, and my first sport was hockey because
Okay.
Don Bosco was and is very strong hockey school, and my first sport was hockey. But as my father played cricket, I would tag along with him
Yes.
to the matches, and then the school cricket coach saw me playing in the quadrangle one day, during the lunch break and the tea break, you just go and play with your friends. And
Yeah.
that's when he said that he would like me to come for the nets. So technically, my first sport was hockey, but very quickly I fell head over heels in love with cricket.
Yes, and actually, my next question was your father's influence. He's obviously been a Ranji player himself. He's been a prominent coach. So, what was his influence on you when you were growing up?
I think we had a very kind of eclectic mix at home because my mother she's retired now, but she used to be a English literature professor,
Wow.
and my father was a coach. So there was a atmosphere of learning in the house, and uh, I just watched by I just learned by watching the other union play. That was a very strong
Yes.
side. That was very big influence on my life. The other Union still is a very big influence on my life. Just the way they approach the game, always aggressive but always fair, and they played as per certain values which they set for themselves. So I just kind of learned by watching him. There wasn't any kind of big time knowledge transfer which was kind of
Yeah.
very formally done. You just kind of were like a sponge and you try to get as much in as possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
The real knowledge transfer came in later in my career when I started playing regularly for Bombay under 19s, and that's when he would talk to me about technique and stuff like that. But one thing which really stood out, and I've started coaching a bit myself now, is that you don't want to tamper with a player's
Mhm.
inherent. You just want to kind of enhance it and embellish it to the best way you can.
Yeah.
So I think that's one big thing. Never tried to change any techniques of any players he worked with. He just tried to make them into better products for
Yeah.
the team,
So true.
and I think that was the big learning for me.
Do you think that actually happens today, sir? Like a lot of coaches will overtrain or specify a particular player, which is not exactly necessary. Do you think that actually
I think
happens
it,
today?
I think there's a yes and no to it as well. I think in a younger age, it probably happens, and that's where you can miss out on some talent as well.
Yeah.
But as the player moves down the path, of representation, I think coaches just try to modify a little bit here or there because there's a big risk at that time. But in cricket, one thing is becoming clearer to me that it's about bat and ball. How
Yeah.
how you do it how you do it is not as important as the outcome, basically. So you have somebody like Steve Smith today, and if his early years coaches had tried to change him, he wouldn't have been the player he is now.
Yeah.
So
So true.
so 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 there's a yes and no to your answer as well,
Or even
to your
someone like
question.
Malinga. I mean, with such a awkward action, he could have been
Or
disregarded really early on in his career, but he's gone on to become a
or
legend.
or or, Bum, or Bumrah, for
Oh,
example,
Bumrah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
100%.
absolutely.
You spoke
Yeah.
about Mumbai cricket, and I've had a conversation with Sairaj sir as well and Nilesh sir. They always told me that the culture was very strong. So I want to know what you felt about that Mumbai team and the bonding and the culture of that unit at that time.
Yeah, I think we were very fortunate to have. How can I put it? I think we were very fortunate to have somebody like Sachin, who
Hmm.
was already kind of captain of India when not captain of India, but he was certainly a India regular and a great in making. When I made my Ranji Trophy debut in
Yes.
1991, uh, and then he was the guiding factor for that entire decade that all of us, Nilesh, Sai,
Mhm.
Paras, played for Bombay. He was the guiding force. So I think a lot of the culture, emanated from the way he approached the game. Obviously, there was a certain amount of traditionalism attached to the Mumbai team, and people expected us to do well. But the real approach to the game, how are we going to play the game? Attacking always, but fair, hard but fair. Never trying to do anything, which is wrong. Always doing the right thing. I think this was entirely Sachin's doing, if you ask me. At least I think that way very strongly. I've always felt that he's never got his due as a captain.
All
I
right.
think he was
Okay.
a damn good
Mm.
he was a damn good captain, but he never got his due as a India captain, basically,
Right. Right. Okay.
But just to answer your question, that entire culture came entirely from Sachin Tendulkar, but also I think uh, at the time that we were making our way into the Mumbai team, Sai and I, for example, were playing for Tata Sports Club,
Okay.
and that had a very strong cricketing culture. So I think we were like a blend of what we learned at
Yes.
Tata's and what we learned at Bombay. But I was a blend of what I learned at Dada Union
Yeah.
and Tata's, and then I found that, hey, this is the way the Bombay team plays their cricket as well.
No, that's so true. And obviously, you played a lot of great cricket as well. You played under 14, under 16, under 19, and then eventually Ranji Trophy as well. So tell us the experience of playing so much great cricket and then eventually playing Ranji Trophy, because that's a really hard thing to do in itself.
I think at that time, you don't realize how hard it is because you only have that one goal in your mind,
Yeah.
and your entire day is tuned to making that happen. So you just kind of keep walking down that path, and now after you sit down and think about it over a cup of coffee, you feel that wow, that was really
Mhm.
hard,
Yeah.
and then it's about just keep showing up, basically,
True.
just keep showing up, and you get lucky breaks along the way. I think yesterday Nike ran a superb Super Bowl commercial where they
Mm-hmm.
said it's not how you start but how you finish.
How you
Uh,
finish.
you know, so so I think that's what life is all about, and playing a sport at a professional level teaches you to have a routine, have a plan, have a lot of tenacity built into you. So I think these things, when you're walking down the path, Ishan, you don't realize it, but when you
That's so
sit
true.
back, then you say that, hey, yeah, it was harder than what it seemed at that time.
No, I completely agree with you here. And after a fantastic season, you managed making your India debut. So tell us about that debut for India and what were the feelings at that time? Like, it must have been just so surreal. So just explain that
Yeah.
feeling of wearing that jersey and, going onto the field and playing for your country.
Yeah, my debut game was in Gwalior against Kenya,
Yeah.
and this was, I think, in the month of April or May, and it was 48 degrees in Gwalior, and I remember fielding, and it was the 17th or the 18th over,
Okay.
and I was so dehydrated, and I was just trying to drink water all the time, and I remember having a kind of chuckle to myself, saying this would be damn funny, right? If a debutant just kind of faints on the ground
Oh, God.
because of a sunstroke or something like
Yeah.
that. No, but just jokes aside, Sachin was playing that game and he asked me, how do you feel? And I said, I feel as if I'm walking on air. That's literally, I just played 4 games for India, but those were the most enjoyable 4 games. For some strange reason, I didn't feel any pressure at all. I felt
Wow.
more pressure playing for I felt more pressure playing for Poddar or Dadi Union or Bombay. But when I was playing for India, I just wanted to get out there and take guard. And
Well, that's really
I
strange, to
think
be honest.
yeah, it's amazing how your mind kind
Yeah.
of reacts to certain situations. But that's how I felt, and really proud that we can So when I was a selector, I could wear that cap,
Yeah.
rightfully as well. So I think that's a matter of pride. I would have loved to play a few more games, but hey, that happens sometimes.
That happens, yes. And you mentioned that you were a selector. So, did you enjoy the transition from a player to a selector? And did you like being part of the game once again and giving back?
Yeah, yeah, I love watching cricket, Ishan. I
Okay.
really love watching cricket. In fact, let me tell you now, tomorrow is the test match,
Yeah,
and I have a travel day tomorrow and day after. But
already.
I've scheduled all my meetings for Friday after lunch because I want to sit in the hotel room and watch the first session of play on the second
Okay.
day. So I just love watching cricket. I keep
Yeah.
telling my wife that a good holiday for me would be watching two or three county games back to back, sipping a beer and having some fish and chips and just
Oh,
watching.
that's
I
that's the
love
best.
red ball cricket.
Yeah, yeah,
I
that's the
love
best.
red ball cricket. I'm a big fan of red ball cricket. And so as a selector, your basic one trait which you need to have is that you need to love watching cricket
Okay.
because you need to watch a lot of it because there are 30 odd first class teams in India, and literally for 4 years I was traveling 5, 6, 7 days a week watching cricket and getting paid for it. I mean, how luckier can one get, right?
Yeah,
Basically.
it's a blessing. Absolutely. But but Jatin, so tell me, how
Yeah.
important is it to, take those tough calls as a selector, which at times people might not agree with you, but you have to take those calls. And have you taken those calls in the past?
Yeah, very, very. It's a very complex job being a selector because
Hmm.
you are taking a call on a player. So that's a player who spent 10, 15 years of hard grind making it there. Then you've taken a call, but you have to socialize that call within your
Yeah.
selection committee. Then, as a selection committee, you need to hold hands on that call, and then you need to socialize it with the team management as well. Because they are closer to the ground than any of us. So
Yeah.
so. So tough calls. I mean, the decision to transition the captaincy from MS Dhoni to Virat Kohli,
Hmm.
that was a call taken by our selection committee, and Dhoni, the MS, the legend, the champion, the legend that he is. He is as magnanimous as it comes. So he made it really easy, and he said, no, it's the right decision,
Yeah.
and that made it really easy. And he said that he would be around to help Virat, and no two ways about that. So that was a tough call. Uh, Prithvi Shaw making his debut and getting 100 at Rajkot versus West Indies. That was an important call. I think Washington Sundar going to
Right.
Australia.
Right.
You know, Shardul Thakur also going to Australia because they add
Yeah.
little bit of oomph down the order as well. Indian cricket's always had a problem that batsmen don't bowl and bowlers don't bat. So finding that all rounder was an
Was
issue
a task. Yeah.
for us. It was a task because you have many all-rounders at the domestic level, but none are unfortunately good enough to play international cricket.
Right.
So that was one piece which we couldn't solve because there just wasn't any supply, of stature to go after.
It's interesting you mentioned that, sir, because we don't find too many Hardik Pandyas so often. So, what's the reason for India not being able to produce good fast bowling all-rounders that can possibly bowl at 140 and also tonk the ball a long way?
I think overall in India, coaching for fast bowling is in very very short supply. Good
Mhm.
coaching for fast bowling. So when you see say today, I would give the example of say a Suryan Shedge who plays for
Yeah.
Bombay,
Yeah.
right? He's an all rounder, but 3 or 4 years earlier, I don't know who his coaches are, but 3 or 4 years earlier, a guy like him should be very, very treated in a very focused manner from a
Hmm.
fast bowling perspective.
Hmm.
In terms of building his body up, so that injuries don't occur at a higher intensity of the
Hmm.
game.
Yeah.
So I think coaching and the physiology behind fast bowling is an area which needs a lot of
Lot of
focus
time. Yeah.
in India. And then you will find over the next 2, 3, 4 years, guys coming into the team who can hold their own as a batsman and play as a bowler also.
So
Basically,
true.
that's what Hardik did, right?
Yes.
He can play as a bowler or a batsman, and that's the qualification for an all-rounder.
Yeah, yeah, so true. And moving a bit towards your professional career, you worked at Nike for 5 years, so that's just a fantastic experience. You were the main guy for Nike in India. So tell us a bit about that
Yeah.
experience and what you learned from that, sir.
Yeah, I spent about 11 years at Nike, and that was fantastic. It worked on some great iconic campaigns like Bleed Blue.
Hmm.
Managed the entire BCCI relationship.
Yes.
Started the entire talent pool identification for Nike. In fact, my first signing for Nike was Virat Kohli at the age
Wow.
of 16, and then built that entire athlete roster. Then spent 3 years at Nike's European headquarters, where I was the point man for Europe football sports marketing. So I had the opportunity, of working with the great clubs, the great players like Cristiano, Iniesta,
Wow.
Zlatan.
Wow.
Worked with them very closely, and also was put as a point man for the Flyknit technology. So Nike have a Flyknit technology for shoes, and that debuted at the 2014 Brazil World Cup with
Wow.
Cristiano. So I was the global project lead for that from a sports marketing perspective. So really lucky to have done some amazing stuff, and just worked with so many smart people, and so many lifelong friendships. Basically,
No, I think it
have been formed
is.
because of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so amazing. I think a lot of people aren't, provided with such opportunities. So just so amazing to know that you've been there. When you met Virat Kohli at
Yeah.
16, did you expect him to become the superstar that he is today, sir?
I thought he will do well for himself because
Okay.
while his entire batting framework was in place, what really got me was these those eyes.
Hmm.
He's got
Fiery
such
eyes, yeah.
hunger in them. He's got such hunger in them that from my experience as a cricketer, I knew that your skill can take you to a certain level,
So true.
but your confidence and your tenacity is going to help you achieve your goals. So I thought he was confident. I thought confident, and he won't mind if I say this, but confident to the point of being brash at that time. But he had something in him, and I think that's the job of a talent
Yeah.
scout to peel the layers and see what's inside. And he had his father was still there at that time, but he had solid support system as well. So when you judge talent, you not only look at the player but also look at the support system.
That's
That's what
so
I
true.
learned in football. Uh, because you have uncles, aunts who want to be agents themselves, and
Yeah.
so you have to look at all possible angles to then come up with a deduction.
And would you say that you enjoyed football as much as you enjoy the cricket, or is cricket still your first love and you still always favor that?
No, I love watching football. I
Yeah.
absolutely love watching football. Don't do enough of it nowadays. When I go to Bangalore, we have a small office in Bangalore. I end up watching a lot of football because my teammate Akash Wagh, like a
Okay.
mad United fan. Uh, so
Lovely.
yeah, he's happy that we beaten Aston Villa day before.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
uh, but I just whenever I watch football, I'm like I need to do more of this. But
Yeah.
if you talk about it from a watching perspective, for me, nothing better than track and field to watch. Nothing better than a 4x400 relay race to
Hmm.
watch.
Yeah.
For me, uh, probably going to the Olympics later this year
Oh,
as
wow.
well,
Amazing.
and and I'll make sure I'll watch some track and field for sure.
You should. You should. That should definitely be on
Yeah,
your list. Kilo Mo happened for you, sir. So how did that happen for you? It's a very interesting concept, and I just want you to
yeah.
explain it to the viewers as well.
So when I was working for Nike in Europe, we were as a family, we were based in Amsterdam, and I met a couple of people who worked for Booking.com, because Booking.com has a Dutch founder, and their global headquarters are in Amsterdam. And I just love the idea of aggregation.
Hmm.
So one thing I wanted to do was I wanted I began the thesis saying that India is the world's youngest country, and people are just not getting enough access to sport.
Yeah.
So how can you build a tech platform which will give them access to sport? So we are on our journey.
Ongoing.
Now we are at about 45 gated communities. So we handle all the sports, fitness, and wellness
Okay.
services at gated communities. So swimming coaches, gym trainers, badminton coaches are all supplied by Kelomor,
Wow.
and all the booking happens in the app and stuff like that. And now the third line which I'm looking very keenly at is setting up a chain of cricket academies across the country,
Oh, that's
because the standard of grassroots level cricket coaching is an absolute
yeah.
shambles right now. And we want to certify our own trainers, have our own trainers working at school infrastructure. So our first academy, named after my dad, is right opposite the Lilavati Hospital, at
Wow.
the Wing Sports Center. We have
Ah,
9 lanes
see.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's doing really well. So literally have a big audacious goal of having 500 cricket academies across the country,
500. Wow.
as fast. Yeah, 500 across the country. Uh, and look at Kilomore as a super app for sport, where you can where you can play, where you can learn by finding a coach. We're going to add a certification hub to the app as well, where you can get online coaching, where you can buy stuff. We have a Kilomore shop which gets regular
Mhm.
purchases, and where you can also connect with other people. So you want to go for a run, and you push it out through the Kilomore ecosystem, and somebody else joins you at 6 a.m. in the
Something
morning
like that.
at Bandra Promenade or something like that,
Yes.
So, so India doesn't have that one-stop shop for sports, and we want to build that.
No, just amazing. And I think you're doing a great job at it. So I think life for a lot of individuals is going to get much easier. So thank you for that, sir. But if I had to ask you about your immediate 5-year plan, that would be the same that you mentioned right now, right? Like just branching out, making things much easier for one another to just connect and, play sport as well. Is there anything else you'd
Absolutely.
like
I
to
think
add to that?
I'm just no, you. I think summarized it
Yeah.
beautifully. It's just about providing, 5-10 crore Indians and access to sport. It's
Yeah.
as simple as that. And then you have all the bells and whistles of technology, ratings and reviews, and this, that, and the other. But that's the simple elevator pitch, and just walking down that path, and loving it. Last month, close to 200,000 Indians have played sport through Kelomore.
Oh, okay.
So the number keeps on growing. So just having fun. I have a fantastic team. Touchwood, I've managed to keep a bulk of my team for the last 5 or 6 years. So all of us are doing this because I think India needs a one-stop destination for sport.
They really
Parents need
do.
it, to find out where the coaches are, and whom to go to, and how do you get a free trial. So trying to build this into a complete destination. So, for example, you've played cricket, and you've seen all the other sports have all these
Yes.
um, your district sports officer, these DSO tournaments, for example.
Yeah.
So how can Khelomore also partner with these DSO tournaments, make the entry from the Khelomore app itself? So say you have a tournament in Sangli, you enter that, upload your Aadhaar card onto the Khelomore platform on that form itself, and is what we are building.
The
Yeah.
final segment is on Indian cricket itself. So obviously the under 19 team reached the finals and they couldn't see it through. So why is the Indian team faltering at the final from your opinion? Like they're reaching there, they're playing some good cricket, but somehow they can't go on and capitalize and win that, tournament. So what's going on here?
I think the under 19 team is always a work in progress team. I think we've lost to Australia. I was watching the game, and I think it's uh, just the kind of what's the right word? Just the kind of preparation which Australia intrinsically has, because their
Yeah.
domestic under 19 is also so strong. Because they're just 5 or 6 teams there. You have 30 odd teams in India, So those 5 or 6 teams are all very high level 5 or 6 teams, and they are just used to a higher intensity of competition,
True.
I think, than what we are used to. But like you said, they've reached the final, so that was good. I think sometimes I feel we need to start asking more from ourselves,
Asking more, right?
and yeah, I think so. I think so. But they have the right guys in charge. VVS is a great guy who's running the academy and the domestic structure. But I think hand on heart, we should be asking ourselves of more.
Maybe you're right. I think and tough calls also have to be taken, which can help Indian cricket.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
One question on the
yeah.
test match, sir. Upcoming third test match. It's tied up now. So, what are your thoughts on the third test game, and who are you looking forward to seeing playing?
So obviously, Sarfraz will make his debut.
Yeah.
So I think Jaiswal and Sarfraz in the middle could be a good jugalbandi to watch. Especially if the spinners are bowling. But it's going to be a cracking test match because England are not going to die wondering, right?
No, no, no
That's
way.
that's clear.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
so
no
I'm
way.
like a big fan of somebody like Duckett. I think
Okay.
Duckett's a fantastic player at the top of the order. He
Yeah.
he just doesn't get due because he's surrounded by bigger names. Zach Trolley obviously is a very special player,
Yes.
but Duckett is like pocket-sized dynamo who just comes after you, from
And
ball
go, yeah, he
one.
goes after the ball,
Uh,
100%. Yeah.
yeah. So I love that. I just wish Shami was around as well. It would have been
Oh,
great fun if
me too.
if
Bumrah
Boom and
Shami.
Shami had been. Yeah.
Yes.
But like you said, looking forward to it big time. I'm going to sneak away from work for a bit and
And sit down and
watch
enjoy the
watch.
test match.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Last question for you, Jatin sir. If there's one lesson that you would like to pass on to a youngster, it can be any lesson. I know there might be quite a few for you, but if there's one that stuck with you, what would you like to pass on?
I think nothing beats patience.
Okay.
So once you have your stall set out that, hey, this is what I want to do in life, you just keep walking down that path, because hopefully it is something which is big enough to be chased. But I think no substitute in life for patience. I love one of Einstein's quotes
Hmm.
where somebody told him that, sir, you're the most intelligent man in the world, and he said, no, I'm not. I just spend more time on problems.
Nice.
And spending more time means patience. So I think
Okay.
patience is one attribute. Uh, if you have that, most things fall into place.
So true. I think it's so important to be patient and wait for the right opportunity. Jatin sir, it's been a
Yeah,
a privilege speaking to you. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. So honestly,
happy to do it whenever you want to, Ishan. All the very best,
thank you.
and we should catch up soon. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.